The Business Mentor Talks is vlogged by no other, Armando Butz Bartolome, in cooperation with the Manila Times. It aims to bring to life and recognize entrepreneurs who constantly strive to create a living for the community as well. Listen to the Business Mentor Talks with Butz Bartolome.
And gentlemen, today is Sunday again. This is again Butch Bartolome of the Business Mentor blog, and again over the Manila Times. You know, this Sunday is actually a very special day. You know, I always look at my blog as a very special day. Why? Because we feature people who are probably not that well known, but they are a celebrity in their own right. No? So again, we have a very young, a young girl, and who is so much gifted with so much talent and passion. And just to give you a background, I attended. We had our PCCI Quezon City Youth Conference in Novotel, and you know, when this guest of ours acted as a co-moderator, everybody in the audience were just so quiet. You know, who is this girl who probably missed, probably did not enter the right venue? You know, probably you know, yung pang bumili lang ng libro sa isang bookstore, you know, at naligaw. Tama ba? Hindi. But again, without further ado, let us hear from Ysh Ventura. Ysh Ventura, good afternoon. Good Sunday to you. Kamusta na?
Good afternoon. Good Sunday po sa inyo, Tito Boots, and good afternoon po sa ating mga viewers. Hi po, I'm Ysh Ventura.
Yeah, so yan si Ysh Ventura. So Ysh, siguro
Yes.
ang una nating pwede mong sabihin, how old are you?
Mm. Usually po when I, talk to people and I don't really know them for now, I don't introduce like my name with my age. Sometimes I just want to see like get a temperature check on what do they think kaya of my age or ilang taon na kaya ako. So I was testing it out when I was in the conference po, and some people said like, "Oh, you're 23, 26, 21, 19." But it was very funny because I kept saying no, no, no. So my real age but is I'm 16 years old.
Wow. Can you repeat that? Because we might mga iba yung narinig naming number.
Hala po. Ako po ay 16 years old po.
Okay, siya ay 16 years old. Ysh Ventura. Okay, so Ish,
Mm.
you are a high school student, right?
Yes po.
Incoming grade 12.
Yes, I'm an incoming grade 12 student po. I currently study at the Multiple Intelligence International School in Quezon City, Katipunan.
Multiple level,
Oh,
multiple
Multiple
level,
Intelligence
multiple
International School po.
intelligence. Wow. So, okay, tell me your experience.
Hmm.
Why did you? How did you create that? You know, that spell binding effect on us when you started
Whoa.
to talk with different entrepreneurs. You know, people who run a business, and you really floored them. You know, so who is Ysh Ventura? Tell us. Paano ka
Uh,
nagsimula? Yeah.
Thank you for your kind words. I mean, like, it's just, ooh, nakaka-ooze po talaga ng gratitude. Um, I guess it really just comes from that that natural the natural want to learn. So that passion, that curiosity you have, and just that strength to satisfy that curiosity. Um, when I came up to that stage, I was just already so honored to, like just be in such a room filled with pioneers in their own fields and people who have started from nothing to something and then this and that. And it was just like, wow, I feel really humbled. So the way I went about when I moderated po the conference was, parang sabi ko na lang, because I actually had questions. I prepared 4 questions. Sabi ko, okay,
Mhm.
like a week before, I was thinking about okay, so the event is leadership and innovation on sustainability and inclusivity. So I wanted my questions to not just reflect sustainability and inclusivity, especially in the entrepreneurship like part of it, but I also wanted to see the experiences of the panelists. So where did they start? And how did they include all of these advocacies? Like, was it just something that came about in their journey of business, or was it something that actually motivated that business or that platform that they have? So I think it really just came from that passion to learn, and that even that humility to learn, because you think that you know everything, but you actually don't. And even until now, I mean, you said you introduced me in such a wow way, which I'm so grateful for. But I still am a very, like, ang dami ko pa pong hindi alam. So I really am just grateful to be in such a position to have access to that, to be able to experience that and learn from all these people. So I guess that's also how I started po, which we'll talk about in like the coming
Right, right,
times.
right. So I understand you're also an ambassador. Tell
Mm.
us, wow, grabe ang mga achievements mo. Ambassador ka ng what? What is the
Ah,
United Nations something?
I'm not the ambassador, but rather
Yes.
I'm I'm the global youth president of the United Nations Youth Associations of the Philippines, the global chapter po.
Okay,
So,
Tell us about this global chapter that you're heading right now.
mhm.
What is it all
Okay po. So, it's the youth arm po of the United Nations Association of the Philippines, and the which also stands for UNAP. UNAP po is the organization here in the Philippines. It's a non-profit. It's also a non-governmental organization that really just aims to promote the ideals of the United Nations through just here in the Philippines po. So we do this a lot with dialogue with government agencies, with other non-governmental organizations, and then
yes.
in turn of that, we create projects that are not just short-term solutions, but also something that tries to work on long-term solutions for the issues that just come across in society.
How does your your person as an your age, how
Mm-hmm.
do you now view our what's happening in our environment or the world?
Mm,
Kayo, I mean,
there's
kayo
just
yung, what do you call yourselves?
opo.
You um, millennial. You're not a
Gen
generation.
Zs.
Gen
We're
Z ka
Gen
ba?
Zs po.
You
Opo.
know, naguguluhan na ako eh. Kasi alam mo, baby boomer ako eh. So,
Opo. Opo.
so
For my generation po, Gen
uh,
Zs po kami.
oo.
Ako po
So how do you view
2007
the
po
world?
ako eh.
How do you view what's happening around you? Talk about environment. Talk about probably poverty.
Hmm.
Kasi sometimes I'm so curious how the young people like you would view, or are there people like you who probably just say, okay, ganyan eh. How would you view what's going on around us?
The Filipino youth today is actually very inspiring and very, up on their toes with what's happening around the world. I know as the days pass by, we just see the news and see, worse things happen. Like it's worse than yesterday. Sometimes there are news that are better than yesterday, which is good. But I think that the way that the Filipino youth or the youth today is just going about is we're very forward thinkers. Um,
Mm,
we take note of what's happening around the world, which is absolutely crazy, absolutely um, insane, which it shouldn't be happening. But we don't let it discourage us. We
mhm,
try to do things about it. And I think the big thing about this is continuous education. So that heightened awareness and that yearn for awareness and education about even the smallest of things is what really keeps us going. So the Filipino youth today, there are just a lot of advocacies that we have on our toes, like a lot of topics that we really try to keep about. I know that mayhaps when you go out of your doors and when you look out your window, or maybe when you bump into someone young at a mall, some of our conversations can also be about what's happening around the world. So, for example, let's talk about climate change po. So,
mm,
climate change obviously is it's worsened by not just like the world, obviously, like the climate changes natural na po yun,
mhm,
pero the climate change becomes worse today because of number one, human activities as well. So the use of fossil fuels, deforestation, unsustainable activities, it really does contribute to climate change. I said beforehand that climate change is natural kasi talaga po nagbabago yung climate natin,
mhm.
pero when it changes at like an emphasized and weirder level, like it just gets worse day by day, and it heightens not not a normal pace, then that's when it gets worse. So it's not just an environmental issue po, it's also something that can be social or economic. But let's go first with how it's also an environmental issue. So climate change, obviously, when the climate worsens, then the world heats up. But it's not just that our sea levels would rise. Who does that affect? That can affect our fisher folk, our farmers, because we're in the Philippines, and the Philippines is one of the countries, if not the country that's most affected by climate change, at least in Southeast Asia. I could be wrong with the statistics, but it's something within that line. Our typhoons get worse. And we just saw how Typhoon Karina really affected the Philippines. Biro niyo po, tinamaan na po ang Metro Manila, and we were at a state of calamity. Now, that's Metro Manila. That's already one of the most, if not the most urbanized place here in the Philippines. And that doesn't mean to discredit na it hit Metro Manila, like sayang dapat yun talagang tinututukan natin, because
Yeah.
the typhoons affect all the other provinces. But I'm emphasizing this because it's the fact that Metro Manila, the most urbanized place, was hit, and we were put in a state of calamity. That just shows how like climate change has affected things worse, because Typhoon Karina was not supposed to be strong. It wasn't even supposed to be a super typhoon, but it only became a super typhoon like within what, a day before it left,
Correct. Yeah.
and it
But
was
it's
worse than
in your
Ondoy.
age.
Yes po.
What can you suggest? How can people of your age really make things matter? I mean, you're saying, yeah, climate
Mm,
change is here. Everybody's
yeah,
trying to put their heads together, but
that's right.
your contemporaries
Yeah.
or the youth who are probably listening or watching you,
Mm,
how can you now convince them instead of saying, dinededma, okay lang yan,
yeah.
okay lang. Hindi ba may mga gano'n na, ganun talaga ang buhay, hindi pwede, no? Like in your case, you're saying, you may be young, but you're listening, you're watching,
Yeah.
you're observing. So,
Mm-hmm.
what are the things that people of your age can be capable of in terms of contributing to what's happening with the climate change?
I think number one is open your eyes and your ears, because when you learn about these issues and you kind of recognize that something's wrong, then I encourage you to satisfy that curiosity. Because the
Mm,
more you dig into it, the more you dig into your curiosity, the more that you're able to, kind of just like find out that information. And when you know more things, there's so much more that you can do. I think that really is the first step, to educate yourself. There are a lot of resources online, which is not just helped out by institutions or organizations, but even like the youth today, like people from, I'm talking about to the viewers who are probably from the youth, people from your age bracket, they're taking up the first step, or they're taking up steps to kind of just open the book for everyone to see, which is also how we kind of just utilize like the digital platforms, which is so important because it just connects everyone who, isn't able to have this access. And number two, after you kind of open your ears and your eyes, start it with action. Like after you recognize something, see what you can do, because um little action is so much better than no action at all.
Exactly.
It
That's all.
Your action doesn't have to be, like majestic. It doesn't have to be, oh, okay, I'm gonna start a non-profit, or oh my god, okay, I'm gonna create a position paper, I'm gonna create a policy. It doesn't have to be as majestic. It can even
Yeah.
start by you learning things, you hearing things, you understanding things, and then helping another understand it as well. Because education is here not just for us to learn, but also for it to kind of, like just be spread around. And which is also why you have to be critical with the information that you seek or you receive. So
Mhm.
when, like when you educate yourself, don't just go to Wikipedia, because Wikipedia, you can, edit that. So go to news sites, go be critical about the resources that you kind
But
of receive.
you are more capable, sabi nga nila, the pen is mightier than the sword. And probably
Opo.
that has changed,
Mm-hmm.
the the keyboard can change the
Yeah.
world, makes a
Yeah.
difference. Like for example, what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying is that, you can create a campaign, make people aware,
Mm-hmm.
all ages,
Yes.
people from all
Mm-hmm.
different regions. Um, and it'll really clamor because I can recall, I don't know if you have read or seen this young lady years ago from Sweden. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you probably saw her, but she did make a difference in her own right. I mean, I believe she even won the Nobel Prize or the
Is
Pulitzer.
this Greta Thunberg?
Is that one?
Is this Greta Thunberg? Are you referring to Greta
Yeah,
Thunberg?
yeah. The young. It's also parang magkakapareho kayo, ano? The same genetics
Opo.
ata kayo, So, I mean, this is something na I'm very proud that we have a Filipina like you who can really make spell a difference, because really we keep on hounding and hounding, we keep on complaining that the floods, the deforestation, but the youth of today can actually clamor that, can actually put
Yeah.
pressure, can actually
Mm-hmm.
influence a lot of people, no? Kasi you can
That's right.
you can feel malaki yung pag-uunawa ninyo, no? Tsaka meron kayong
Mm-hmm.
mga strategy na can hit the heart,
That's right.
di ba?
Opo.
Yung mga, you can even start from your own community. You can start within
Mm-hmm.
your family. Like for example, yung recycling of trash.
Yeah.
Probably the older generation may not have taken that seriously. But
Mm-hmm.
you guys are saying, hey, we also want to live in this planet.
That's right.
Uh, Magtira naman kayo ng kabutihan sa Mother Earth.
Mm.
Di ba? Parang gano'n, no?
Yes,
Parang,
I
wow,
agree.
drama na
Yeah.
yan, no?
Opa. But
Diba?
actually, you mentioned something about recycling and
Yeah.
how the older generation was, like kind of unable to practice it as much in a bigger manner. But this is where my other point about climate change comes in, because I mentioned how it wasn't just an environmental issue. It also relates back to, like society and the economy and politics. Because for one thing, climate change worsening isn't just because like people throw their trash wrongly, like in the wrong bins, or people keep using plastics, but it's also about that, like accountability. Like
Hmm.
we have to think that climate change isn't natural now. It should come from somewhere, and it should be something that should be solved from like where it comes from. So for example, those responsible for, like contributing to climate change should also be held accountable, which is something that the youth is doing right now. The youth today, actually, there are a lot of organizations, especially here in the Philippines, but around the world, of course, that really fight for climate action and justice. One of them is an organization that I also am part of, which is Youth Advocates for Climate Action Philippines. So it
Mm-hmm.
was co-founded by activists like Mitzi Janelle Tan, who is their international spokesperson, and also Alam Airoso. So these are people who are actually um, people who communicate and talk with like Greta Thunberg and people who are with the community, because Youth Advocates for Climate Action Philippines, or YACAP, is the Fridays for Future Philippines. And Fridays for Future is the campaign that was started by Greta Thunberg. So what I'm trying to point back is that it really isn't just a matter of throw your trash properly, or use plastic less. Like, yes, do that. But we also have to take note that if we want to kind of mitigate the problem, we have to go back to its roots. And it's also with the larger corporations, people who have the larger capacity and share in exacerbating climate change. So, for example, people who really utilize plastics, plastics with their products, or the fossil fuels are being used, and even energy. So the balance po talaga, we have to hold people accountable, and not just really
Right.
accountable. We have to
So,
make sure that their practices are sustainable.
so in other words, everybody is responsible. Nobody is exempted. No,
Yes.
regardless. Like for example, you can start in your school,
Mm-hmm.
your fellow classmates. Okay,
Yeah, that's right.
when you go out, you talk to your family and try to
Mm-hmm.
explain and sort of make people aware. Just talk and talk and talk and
Mm-hmm.
really until the clamor echoes throughout, no, everyone's
Yeah.
mind, no. So kasi nga yun ang nagiging concern ngayon, no.
Opo.
Should we cannot just rely on the leaders actually, but the whole
Yes.
population
That's
should
right.
be able to really cooperate. Like for example,
That's
the
right.
typhoon.
Yeah.
You've not seen the places where people would say, hindi naman bumabaha dito. Eh, bakit ganun? Bumaha? Yung bang,
Mm-hmm.
impossible. Bakit ganun? No? Yung iba
Mm-hmm.
naman nagsabi na, wala, ganyan ang buhay talaga. Accept na. Hindi tayo pwede mag-accept. We cannot just say, take it sitting down. Di ba?
That's
We have
right.
to do something, right? We have to do something about
Yes.
it. Like, another thing is actually wake up your fellow young people, people who are probably complacent, no, people who probably are dead serious with their computers because they're playing ML, they're playing video or whatever graphics. Instead of that,
Mm-hmm.
probably your group can come up with some games that will really
That's right.
be attractive for them, right? Para bang,
Mm-hmm.
okay, gagawa ko ng parang ganun, no?
Opo.
Ng ML na these young people, mga grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, aba, mamumulat na sila sa, o nga no, environmental change. Kasi nga nagiging
Mm.
games, di ba? So yun. But tell me, Ish, I'm sure
Yeah.
our viewers are actually, how strong is the influence of your parents on who you are?
Hmm.
How many
Well,
siblings ba? Ilang siblings ba kayo? Ilan ang
ano po, I'm an only child po.
Oh, you're the only
Isa
child.
lang po.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So you're not spoiled, are you?
Uh, I like to think that my parents
Mm-hmm.
have been, like, they're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
They give me like things that I ask for, which I'm really grateful for. So I think I don't know, I wouldn't want to call it spoiled, but I guess I did grow up happy, because like when I was growing up, when I was younger, I had like, "Mommy, can I buy this doll?" Okay, you can buy it. But it also
Okay.
came with like giving in. But I guess the influence that my parents have on my character really just stems from their, support. I really don't think I would be who I am without my parents. Not just, like, their support for the things that I do is amazing. And I'm just really grateful for them. Because Um, let's see. I started young with let's put it in public speaking. So I started young in my old school po, and my mom would encourage me to join these public speaking competitions.
How old were
So
you? How old were you when you started?
uh I was mm, I started in first grade po. First
Wow,
grade.
that's great.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
But it
okay,
was it was like it was a very cute public speaking. Para po siyang like you memorize a poem
okay.
and then you deliver it to an audience. So one of my poems was like ano nga ba yun? I forgot. But I won third place in my first ever public speaking competition. And then I had around like three more in grade three po, grade four, and then grade six or five. I'm not sure, but sometime
Mm,
within that. But I had four po before I transferred to my school now. So in my second competition until my third or second competition, I won first place. And then in my last, I ended with a podium finish. So I think that gave me a foundation with
mhm.
my ability to talk right now and my way with articulating words, and I think it just all rolls back to the support my parents have for me, just pushing me to expose myself in these areas, and not just with public speaking competitions then, but I guess like they would also bring me to some of their meetings. So even if I wasn't out there, even if I wasn't talking about something, just being in a place filled with other people just helped me become more comfortable in social settings.
Wow.
And yeah,
But
and
how do
it,
you,
mhm.
how do you handle your time, your you know, because you're young and you know the
Opo.
young people, you know, like for example, school started with you on your
Yeah.
year,
Oh,
and
it's starting on August 12 for
August,
me.
right? Some
Yes.
schools are starting, but how do you handle your time? Give me a typical time of Ish, a typical day in the
Mm.
life of
This is really funny because
Ish.
I also struggle with time. Like
Why?
I
Why?
really struggle with time. I think it really is just like gratification and discipline. So I've been trying to find ever since I kind of built this not lifestyle but built what I have now, like my work, my organization, my school. I had to find ways on how to balance all of these while still retaining my own social life and my own like me time. But as they say, you can't balance everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is just a matter of doing the thing. You really have to prioritize it. But I really am still just trying to find ways on how to answer such questions because I still struggle with time management po.
Correct.
Kasi syempre minsan pag late na po ako gigising, I
Mm-hmm.
could have used this time, like the time that I slept for, like such a long time, I could have used that to study or but it really is just a matter of grace and discipline slash devotion. So my mindset now is I'm struggling with trying to discipline myself, especially with I have so many things on my hands right now. But I'm trying to switch my mindset from discipline to devotion because this is what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about my organization and the work that I do in that. I'm also passionate about excelling in school, and not just excelling in school. I'm passionate about the things I learn because I'm a humanities student. So it's just trying to get through hard things and pushing through mentally.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Are you sort of
I
like
yeah.
you like setting too much of your goals or expectations of yourself? Are you that
Mm,
type of person who say no? I will never accept a no until a yes. Okay, or success
um,
is something that you don't compare with others, but you just have to be in a like you want to accomplish a lot of things. You know.
yeah. I have that ideal um vision of myself, which is something that I also want to achieve. but I also acknowledge that it takes so much time to get there. So I don't force things. Instead, I embrace loss. I embrace failure a lot. In
Mhm.
fact, I feel like that's one of the things I'm also motivated by because you have moments where you win and oh my God, boy, does it feel good. But failure just hits harder because
Yeah,
you're put in this spot and you feel, I don't know, like despair. You feel I could have done better, and you're just in that bubble, that gray bubble, feeling like you could do better. But that's also, hey, it's an opportunity. It's your way of saying that there's still so many more things that you can do because your journey doesn't end here. There's something more
right.
that you can do. And when you win in whatever, when you have your next victory, it will feel, you know, so much better because you're going to attribute it back to your loss. So I guess I do have this idea of vision that I want to achieve of myself, but I also, don't set aside the concept of loss and failure because I acknowledge how important that is in your journey because it teaches you more than
Correct,
victories.
correct. So, in other words, when you experience failure, yeah, it's part of life. Yeah, but it teaches you something. It's a wake up call.
Yeah.
But it must be something that you have to bounce back. Okay, you cannot
Yes.
just say, "Ay, talo na ako, surrender na ako." Eh. Hindi, ganyan talaga.
Opo.
Surrender na lang, wag na lang. No,
Yeah.
a character of a person is somebody, yes, I look at my failure, but I look
Mm-hmm.
at it straight, eye to eye,
Mm-hmm.
and I know how to
Mm.
make it better this time. Again,
That's
failure again,
right.
do it again. I mean, di ba?
Mm.
Maraming ganon, di ba? Yung mga, hindi naman yung one time, big time eh, di ba? Yung mga ganon.
Opo.
Oo. So, Ish, tell us,
Hmm.
what is your real ambition now? I mean, you're grade 12. I mean, you're just next step. Okay, what is the next step for Ish? What are your plans in
Mm.
life that you want to? Hey.
Well, the next step, mm, let's see. It really just boils back to being in a position to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to achieve, that not just quality education or quality learnings, but also to put myself in an environment where I can just really learn more. And, that doesn't have to be like a next step, but it's because, you can just go outside and you can already learn so many things when you open your ears and your eyes. But I think it really is just my goal in a formal manner, going to college and everything. But it's also not just in terms of, academic education, but
What
also
are you
with
planning? What are you
continuing this
planning?
work.
What are you planning to
Uh,
take?
international relations
International relations. Why?
is
Why did you ever choose that?
it's well, let's see. It's a way for me to, like learn more about the world in just a very formalized manner. Because international relations is all about policies, international affairs, what's going on with that world. So it's seeing how you can, like, how countries connect with one another, or how even like problems that the world faces connect back with country or countries.
Mhm.
So it's just that form of, it's not just environmental, it's political, it's social, it's, all of these things. So just that inter it's just that intersectionality of everything boiled down into one thing. I guess it's also motivated because of one of the things that I also do put outside the organization is Model United Nation conferences. So it's a simulation of United Nation conferences where you debate about topics. You get assigned like um a country if you're in an international community. So, for example, you're in the Human Rights Committee, and then you get assigned a country, and then you have to talk about certain types of issues. And then you talk with your fellow delegates, and then you create some sort of paper. You call it a resolution, and then you present that. So it's a mix of not just information, but also research with public speaking, with how to communicate like thoughts in an articulated manner. So all these types of things boil down into one.
Good. Let me toss you some challenging questions, Ish.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
sure.
If you were to be faced with Bill Gates, what would you tell Bill Gates as a young girl of 16 years old? What will you What will you tell Bill Gates? Bill Gates is somebody who is not just the founder of Microsoft, but he's into corporate governance, right? So, what would you say in such a short period of meeting this man?
You have the power to empower. You have the capacity to change the tides for the better. And if you can help us with what you've created and with what you have, then for sure, then we can make the world a bit better than it is today.
Hmm.
So I guess that's just stemming back with how much money he has or how much, like the platforms that he have. If we can utilize all these platforms, say for example, Microsoft, um, we could utilize this digital platform not just for campaigns, but also to talk with other stakeholders or to negotiate or network with other partners about these campaigns. So it's not just with the people who use Microsoft, it's also with the people who work within Microsoft. They can
Hmm.
create so many things that can be used for the better and, can lessen all the issues in society today. Now, when it comes to money, mm, mm, this is a very complex question that would require like a more complex answer. But with,
Yeah, he'll probably ask you
I'm,
how much money are you looking at, Ish, to make
mm,
this movement better.
I will come back. Oh, as much money as possible.
Okay. Okay.
Like,
So yeah,
I mean,
these are
because
things
it's
sometimes
because it's for a greater cause.
yeah, because there are
It's
sometimes
yeah.
there are times when you always wish I wish I can talk to a leader. I wish I
Mm-hmm.
can influence the mind or read the mind of
Yeah.
a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, to help influence. To do
Yes.
a silent evolution. Okay,
Yeah.
of how things should be. And
Mm.
really, we have seen that, young people like you probably would have written a letter to the president of the nation, and they never expected that the letter would be read. And just like you, if you ever had a chance, the opportunity to really meet one of the leaders, at least you're prepared to what you're going to ask them. Not for
Yeah.
your scholarship, perhaps, but again, something that is really for the good of the community, di ba?
That's
So
right.
you so anyway, wow, we had so much fun talking and so much insights, Ish.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how can they get in touch with you, Ish?
Mm.
Where can they get in touch? And have you written a book, by the way?
No, not formally. I
Yeah,
I
but
have
I'm
some drafts, but it's not.
sure it's in your pipeline. Come up with
Yeah.
the thoughts of Ish. The principle of Ish, a 16-year-old, because you're not going to be
Man.
16 forever ish.
Yeah,
You're
I'm not
moving
16
up two
forever.
more years, okay?
Mm.
And you have to capture that uniqueness in you for
Yeah.
people, for you to be the beacon, no? The beacon of light, and for people to really, you have to exert your influence, make a
That's
better
right.
world in every
That's
day that
right.
you do, right, Diva? So
Mm.
yeah, I think you should start writing even an ebook, even an anime. I mean, di ba? I mean, ganyan eh.
Yeah, I agree.
I wish I'm in your age, years ago. But again, I'm so happy that I met you. So,
Thank
give me
you.
two things that as a takeaway for people, young people, or parents who are watching this episode, for them to sort of create awareness on their children.
Mm.
Paano yun? Pwede ka bang magkaroon
Um,
ng
there.
advice sa mga mothers, sa
Mm.
fathers na paano nila imo-mold yung mga anak nila to be like an
Opo.
Ysh Ventura?
I feel like there is, the way that you mentioned that there is a way to capture my own uniqueness is also a way for others to capture their own uniqueness. So people don't have to mold themselves to become an Ish Ventura. I mean, I'm not myself without, that curiosity, that passion, and for learning and education. So if people are given the platforms and the freedom to expose themselves to all these topics, then I think that can already do something. To parents, to parents, yeah, to parents who are watching, um, nagsimula po ako with this because of my parents' support. And it's not just with them bringing me from here to there. I was very transparent with the things that I was getting myself into. And it wasn't something that I just work for myself alone. It was something that um, I got because of my parents' support, because of their encouragement, and because of their understanding for the things that I was passionate about. So, please listen to your children. And I don't mean like listen na, makikinig na ako. Just have a heart-to-heart conversation with them. Unlock their empathy and unlock your own. Because if you're able to give your children the platform to not do all these things, but to continuously learn themselves and with all these practices and with what's happening around them, then that can already start something. I know that the world is a scary place. Reality is scary, and sometimes you might feel hesitant to expose your children into these types of topics. But this being disturbed is what keeps us concerned. I'm only here now because I'm disturbed by what's happening around the world. So even if you're uncomfortable, that's your motivation. That's what's going to push you to not just learn something, but be able to do something about it. And that goes for the kids as well. Don't ever be afraid to kind of put yourselves out there for the sake of learning, for the sake of, just receiving information and just putting yourselves out there because the world is a beautiful place. And even if it isn't, then you have the power to make it even better. So that's just one of the many advices I would say, and I hope that like we can meet whoever's like working through this, and I hope you feel inspired by taking action because really advocacies and doing something, activism in general, isn't just about who the person is. It's about what the person is doing. Mm. So
Wow.
go
Okay,
there.
guys. You've seen a young woman with a matured insight. Okay. Sabi nga ng iba, is she really that young? How come she talks so mature? Like during that conference, and really, I'm so blessed that we are. You gave me the opportunity to, sort of have the blog with you, and I'm sure you're
Thank
going
you.
to get a lot of inspiration. So, yeah, Ish, yeah, keep in touch, and again,
Yes.
um, just keep on trudging and make a difference in this world. Don't let obstacles stop you. The more obstacles you go, the more higher you should go in order to take that giant leap, diba? So yeah,
That's
again.
right.
So again, I'm really proud of your parents, and really I salute your parents. Bilib
Maraming
ako,
salamat po. I'll let them know.
talagang bilib ako sa kanila. Meron kang pinost doon na you sort of gave you sort of like a gratitude. Sino yun? Is that your
Opo.
mom? Is that
Sorry,
si
which
nanay?
post is this po?
Recently. And you gave
Oh, it was, yeah.
sabi mo, masaraming salamat nanay. Okay?
Ah, yes po. That's my grandma. She recently celebrated her
Oh,
birthday last July 30. And,
right, right.
she's
So,
a motivation in my life
meron
too.
din,
She's been,
malaki rin ang influence sa'yo ng grandparents mo, right?
Opo. My grandma po, especially because yeah. So my grandma has always been that firm advocate to eat and sleep. And I think those are two things that a lot of people forget about, but it's something that I carry with me because she constantly reminds me that no matter how far you make it in life, never forget two things: eat and sleep. sleep early. Ganun po
Dap-
talaga. I
Dapat,
wouldn't be
dapat,
the per-
dapat
Mhm.
sleep and be healthy, you know, kasi yun nga, maraming mga bata nag-overeating, oversleeping, and over diet, no? So they easily get
Opo.
sick. But again, you are so fortunate to have your loved ones surrounded you with so much love and values. Okay. So again, thank
Yeah.
you very much, Ish, and really more power to Ish Ventura. Have
Maraming
to
salamat po, Tito
You have to
Butch.
follow this young girl because soon she'll be making waves, and I will I would not be surprised when she probably gets into the global arena. You know, so mabuhay ka, Ish, and be
Maraming
proud.
salamat po.
Maraming
Ako
maraming
po.
salamat. Thank you, thank you,
Maraming
thank you.
salamat
Bye
po. Thank you po.
bye.